Good evening, everyone. The time is 6:36. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Vice President Ferguson, are you online? Could you do the invocation, please?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Father, we just thank you for your goodness and we thank you for your faithfulness. We thank you for your love and for your protection. We invite you into this meeting on this evening and we ask that your wisdom and your peace be extended unto us. And Father God, we just thank you in advance for a productive meeting. And we ask that you will bless all the participants, the city citizens, the city employees, and all associated with the city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Okay, I'll do the roll call. Councilmember Herring.
Here.
Councilmember Hairston. Don't see him. Councilwoman Jones.
Here.
Councilwoman Guillaume.
Here.
Councilwoman Fareed.
Here.
Vice President Ferguson.
Here.
And President Curtis is here. Vice President Ferguson.
Here.
And President Curtis is here. Vice President Ferguson.
Here.
Mr. Gray, if you could. Okay, sorry. All right. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? I will second it. Any discussion?
Yes, Council
Yes.
President, I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Jones?
Yes. There are two items I'd like to add to the agenda. They will not prolong the meeting. They're just, one is an answer and the other is a reminder to council that need to be, since we're getting ready to, after we finish this budget, go into recess, these two things I think need to be tied up, need to be taken care of before we go.
What are they?
The first one is the retirement. The treasurer, Mr. Stewart, sent out the information concerning the retirement. I think he is expecting us to look at that and to pick one, or maybe he and Ms. Schultz can pick one that might be feasible to the employees to the city of Glenarden.
And the other?
The other is 8807 Glenarden Parkway. I think the last discussion we had on that was we needed to give a yes or no about, I think, the curbs, if I'm not mistaken. Because I think that gentleman might be waiting on our decision.
Okay. All right, was that all?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Herring?
Yeah, I have a problem with this whole meeting. When we discussed this meeting, we discussed having 2 budget work sessions. And that's what we should be having. It should not have been 5 council members, including yourself, said we were going to have 2 budget work sessions. And that was the decision of the council at that time. And so in order to change that, the council should have been polled to see if they wanted to change it to a regular meeting. I think that it's not being transparent to the citizens to know that that they will actually be discussing the budget, that we will be voting on legislation, and combining all of this in one is not fair to the citizens. Also, this agenda does not have citizens' comments on it, and according to our council rules, you have to have citizens' comments at the regular meetings. Again, I just think that this is not right for this meeting to be held right now, as it was so advertised. If we're going to do a special regular meeting, we should just vote and get out the meeting and move forward and schedule a budget work session, which is what we should be having, strictly to discuss the budget. I don't think this is being transparent. I really think it's kind of underhanded because the citizens are used to seeing budget work sessions being advertised, not special regular meetings with a budget work session thrown in the middle of it. And we shouldn't be working on a having a budget work session during a regular meeting. And if we didn't advertise it, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's transparent. I think if you're going to do the regular meeting, we need to vote on the legislation and then just bring the budget stuff schedule for another day, because right now with this combining all of this stuff together, again, it is not transparent. It is not fair. I think it's in violation of our council rules when it comes down to these work sessions. So I just feel it isn't right and it isn't fair to not only to the council members who actually said they wanted to have a budget work session, but to the citizens also. Because I was telling them we were having a budget work session. Now they're like, what is this special regular meeting? I'm like, well, there's a budget work session thrown in. They're like, well, why didn't you advertise it as a budget work session? Say, well, you got to talk to the council president about that, because they're trying to, it's basically they're just combining everything into one meeting. So that's my feeling. I don't think we should move forward with this with the budget portion of this. And I think we need to have citizens' comments on it like we do all regular meetings. It should not take it off. The citizens' comments need to be put back on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Harry. Well, I'll just say I intentionally left citizens' comments off because we're not accepting citizens' comments, and we're well within our rights not to have citizens' comments in a special regular meeting. And it was advertised as a special regular meeting since last week. But I completely respect where you're coming from. Any other discussions? All right. This is the vote to.
Mr. President, before you call for the vote, I just want to be clear if I understood what was discussed in the last meeting. Did we or did we not discuss a budget work session in the meeting where we set these dates?
We did. Yes, we did.
Okay, and there was no regular meeting discussed at all. But so that's what we agreed on, was a budget work session. I just wanted to be clear on that. All right, thanks.
We agreed to have a meeting, and yes, we agreed to have a budget work section. You are correct, Ms. Harry.
Okay.
Let me
All right.
finish.
Okay, thank
You are correct. And then I switched the meeting to a special regular hearing so that we could pass the resolutions that we have on deck that we have not voted on, instead of pushing them into after the recess. And thereby we'll be able to pass the vote on a resolution, whether it passes or fails, and still have the budget discussion. So we'll knock out two birds with one stone. But yes, you're correct.
Thank you.
All right. With that being said, this is a vote to accept the amended agenda with the retirement in 8807 Glenarden Parkway decision. Vice President, I'm not Vice President. I'm sorry, I'll just start with you. Councilmember Herring?
No.
Councilman Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Guillaume?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed?
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson?
No.
I'm a yes, the agenda passes. All right, with that, I will bring up the piece of legislation that we have on the docket tonight. Up is a resolution to revise the rules, regulation, and fees schedule and gold room for the gold room. I'm sorry. And I'll put it up on the screen, actually. Second. Okay. Okay, resolution R-34 2024. A resolution to revise the rules, regulations, and fee schedule for the Gold Room. The sponsors, Derek Kurtz, second, council president, co-sponsor at the request of administration. It was introduced on February the 5th. The regular session was held on June the 17th. The public hearing was on June the 11th, and we are here again on a special regular session on July 3rd to vote on it. Whereas pursuant to Chapter 92, Gold Room, Section 92-1, adoption of rules and regulations of the City of Glenarden Code, the City Council may adopt rules and regulations from time to time to govern the use and operations of the Gold Room, including fees to be charged for said use. Needs to be corrected. And whereas in 2012, the City Council adopted a fee schedule to reflect the fees to be charged for various types of events in the Gold Room. And whereas the types of events have changed due to legislation from Prince George's County, and whereas the rules and regulations are no longer pertinent to the types of events that occur in the Gold Room, and whereas the staff has determined that in order to make the Gold Room a self-sufficient enterprise, the rules, regulation, and fees need to be updated to reflect current market conditions, and whereas the council has agreed that it is in the public interest to revise the fee schedule for the Gold Room to more fairly reimburse the city for the costs and expenses associated with the maintenance of the Gold Room. And whereas the council has reviewed the proposed rules and regulations for the operations of the Gold Room, and whereas the council has determined that it is in the public interest to amend the rules and regulations to ensure a more efficient and effective operations of the Goat Room. And now therefore be resolved, the City of Glenarden, sitting in a special regular session the 3rd day of July, does hereby declare the following. 1, the amended fee schedule for the Gold Room attached hereto and incorporated herein is hereby adopted, and 2, the amended rules and regulations for the Gold Room attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference being are hereby adopted. Number 3, that a master usage form and liability waiver are hereby incorporated. 4, that a new gratis application is hereby incorporated. 5, that a new rental agreement is hereby incorporated. And 6, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage by the City Council. Is there a motion on the floor to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second? I second it. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilmember Herring?
Again, I think these fees need to be looked at. Again, we're charging them more than the Prince George's County Ballroom. Also, it's supposed to be a waiver attached, which I still do not see, that we were asking that it would be added to this. You just read in the resolution that is a waiver will be attached to this resolution, and I haven't seen that waiver yet for the food, bringing in food. And that's a roadblock. So I just want to point that out. Thank you.
So, sorry, I'll come back to you, Councilwoman Jones. Councilwoman Jones?
As far as the food is concerned, it is a law in the state of Maryland and Prince George's County that you cannot just bring in food. You have to have a licensed caterer, which is in this resolution, which Miss Bunn has looked up. You've received a letter from the health department director concerning food. So as far as putting a waiver in for food, it is a law for the state of Maryland and Prince George's County that you have to have a licensed caterer, licensed food handlers, making sure that it's in the food has been prepared in a licensed kitchen. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. I thought,
Council
however,
President,
we
may I?
had,
Council President, may I? I'm sorry, I can't find my hand raised button, so whenever you can call on me, please. Thank you.
yeah, I was just gonna say, and I'll come to you, that I believe the council agreed that we would have a waiver, and that, we'll move in that vein, but, Councilwoman Guillaume, I'll go straight to you.
Thank you, Council President. I was just going down the same path that you were on. I'm getting really exhausted at saying the exact same thing for over almost a year now. No, actually over a year. The council has stated over and over again that it's its will to go by the way we wanted to go as far as catering. We did say that we are choosing to have folks be able to bring food in as long as they sign a waiver. Now, they also have a choice to have a caterer of choice. And if they are choosing a caterer of choice, that caterer needs to be bonded. Yes, I read the law for PG County, as others did as well. And I also, as others did, cited other places in Prince George's County per their website where people are allowed to bring food from outside sources. So I just feel like this is an affront on the council right now, because we've stated this over and over and over and over and over and over again. And coming back to us is basically it's almost a form of insubordination. If we're telling you what we want, it needs to be put in there, and that's it. So unless we revise it tonight and put it clearly in there, and I'm fine with saying, will be signed upon soon as we get the waiver. That's fine, but I do not. I'm literally exhausted about this conversation about catering, because we voted on it, we discussed it over and over and over and over again. Thank you. And I'm not upset, by the way. I'm just on my phone. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Councilwoman Jones.
So if the council decides to put this waiver in, is it going to be gone to the attorney for legal sufficiency?
Well,
Because I don't understand writing a waiver to go against a law. That's like I can go to the state or go to this council and say, I don't want to abide by any stop sign laws, so I need you to write me a waiver. So I mean, but it should go. I mean, if this is what the council wants to do, I want to see it done. I want an attorney to write it, so when this comes back and bites the city, and that they will, the attorney will have shown us where this is legal. But I've never seen where I can write a waiver to violate a law. Thank you, Council President.
And actually, the waiver is actually in the rules. What Councilman Harris was talking about is actually seeing the form. So we did include in the rules that people can have a waiver for outside food. So that's in there. We just don't have a copy of what that waiver will look like. Councilwoman Fareed.
Yes, Council President, just in terms of the legal sufficiency, I think that if there's a concern from the state, the county, whomever around the waiver, that they should bring that forward to us, because I'm pressed to understand and reconcile how county offices are able to allow you to bring non-catered food. I literally just did it on Saturday for my daughter's birthday party at the Glenarden Community Center. I did not have to provide any sort of certificates or proof or anything for the food that I brought in. They have no idea where I got it from. So, and I know that this is a practice across the county. So I would like to understand from the county or whomever is saying that this is a law, why are those situations okay, but it wouldn't be okay for the Gold Room? And I suggest we just move forward. And if they want to challenge us, then let them come and challenge us.
Okay.
Mr. President.
Councilman Harris.
Yeah, I'm really getting fed up with this also. And I agree with Councilwoman Guillaume, because I'm looking through this and I sat with the city manager acting city manager and the clerk, when we were going, because some of them, they were going through some of them things and we were addressing some of the concerns, and they took out like the whole section where you can bring food in. They just put catering in here, and they have a section just for catering when it comes down to food. And so we have a section in here that's saying a whole paragraph has been removed out of here that says, you know, you may bring in outside food as long as you sign a waiver. It was a whole section that's in here. Now it's not in here. And I too am really getting tired of the insubordination when it comes to this, because we already said what we wanted. And it seems like they're determined to do what they want. I'm not sure why that was pulled out. I'm looking through here again, and it was pulled out. It was a whole section about you have a choice, because right now it makes people think that you got to do catering only, because that's what's in the rules and regulations. And I'm not understanding why it was pulled out. So maybe the city manager can speak on that. You see his hand is raised.
Mr. Simpson?
Good afternoon. I'm not sure why it's not included in that either. We did go over the information and made the adjustments according to what the council had agreed upon. I'm not sure if this copy wasn't reviewed properly and then it was included, and I'm looking at the same things because it was agreed upon. We did include the waiver and we did review all that information. I'm not sure why it's not included in this packet either, but I can definitely find out.
No worries. I make a motion that we table this. Is there a second?
Okay.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President, I am really getting, this is like the fourth time where we've requested something and it hasn't happened. And frankly, I'm really getting tired of it, because we need to, I mean, again, I'm not sure, again, why people feel that they own Glenarden. We are the council. We own everything up there. That's what it says. Everything up there is owned by the mayor and the city council. So when we give a directive, I'm expecting that directive to be done. This is like the fourth time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any opposition to tabling the Golden rules and the community center rules?
Council President, this is Councilwoman Guillaume.
Yes,
May I?
Councilwoman Guillaume. Yes.
I want to be clear. I don't have any opposition with tabling it, but I want to table it with clear instructions that if we are to table it, I would like to have it come back to us with the section that was intended to be there that was removed, as far as people are allowed to bring food back, et cetera. I mean, food into the facility and sign a waiver should they not have it catered. The part that the city manager referenced, that he too recalled it being in there. I think if we're saying we're going to table it, we need to be clear as far as we're tabling it with the expectation of these things getting put back in there.
All right. Anybody? Thank you, Councilwoman Guillaume. And I'm fine with table this until after the recess if there's no opposition to that.
Sorry, Council President.
Councilwoman Fareed, yes.
I do have opposition to tabling it. We have passed plenty of times resolutions with stating what the changes should be and stating, you know, we pass this resolution, or I agree with this, provided the amendments that we discussed. So I'm not sure why we can't just say right now, as we go to make a motion and pass this resolution, that it's with the amendments that we're discussing now, as opposed to prolonging this process even further and waiting when there is agreement. There's no one disagreeing that that portion was supposed to be in the resolution. So I'm not sure why we can't just say we're passing the resolution with this amended language being added back.
Council President, this is Councilwoman Guillaume. I would be fine with that, by the way. I just want to be very clear that that section needs to be put in place, that the part of the section that was there needs to be put back in. And so I'm fine with that as long as it's noted.
Okay. Council, I'm sorry, Vice President Ferguson. Vice President Ferguson.
Yes, I would like to say that section that was taken out, yes, it does need to be put back in its entirety. But that is not the only issue that I have. Also, it is said in the resolution that a waiver was was acceptable. And there's no way that we would even present a waiver without it being uh, with legal sufficiency. I have a problem with just saying because it says a waiver. I do not know what the waiver says. I believe that because there's a lot of opposition going back and forth with the fact that people cannot bring food in, that it needs to be, I mean, very detailed, specific, and address all aspects of bringing in food and what would and how we would be excused from any liability. So to vote on this legislation tonight and don't have a clue about what the waiver is even saying. So in my opinion, I see it as when I vote, whatever a waiver comes up, we can just put it there and say, well, you already voted on it. So this is the, I need to see word for word what that waiver saying that will keep the city from any liability. So that is, in my opinion, is more than enough reason to table it because it should have been presented in the first place. So people don't do their due diligence, they get what they get. It needs to be tabled.
All
And
right.
I'm sick of this too. I am sick and tired of it coming back and forth. And another thing that I was concerned about was a slick appearance of different type of wording being taken out. There's a lot of documents, a lot of papers to this document, and it needs to be at this point, in my opinion, almost line for line with a ruler read because I don't understand how that portion can excluded. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion that's in the second on the floor. I'm sorry. Last comment to you, Councilman Mayor.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think we do need to table it because it is something else that's missing in here that I remember that we discussed. And that's why I'm saying I agree with Councilman Ferguson. We need to go through this line by line because I don't know what else has been pulled out of here. I can't remember it because we've been revisiting it over and over again. So I think we definitely need to table it and go through this line by line to make sure nothing else was pulled out of here. I don't like sneaky tactics like this either. It really bothers me. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a motion, we have a second, and we already had discussion. So we'll vote now on a motion to table both the Gold Room rules and the Community Center rules since they're together. Councilman Herring.
Councilman Herring?
Yeah, Council. Yeah, that's Councilman.
Okay. Yes.
All right, Councilwoman Jones.
Yes.
Councilwoman Fareed.
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume.
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Both of these are tabled, which leaves the only resolution tonight is resolution R-58-2024, resolution to award a contract to municipal grant services. Let me bring it up. Bigger so you can see it. I will share my screen. Okay. R-58-2024 resolution to award a contract to municipal grant services for grant consulting. The sponsors, Derek Curtis, Council President, co-sponsor on behalf of City Council. Public hearing was on May the 15th and June 11th. I had a couple regular sessions on May 20th and June 17th. It was introduced on May the 6th. It's being read for voting tonight on July 3rd, 2024. State and federal grants that may be available to the city, and whereas in accordance with Charter Section 823, the administration recommends that it is in the public's interest that the consultant agreement with Municipal Grant Services LLC as attached Exhibit A, and whereas pursuant to contract, Municipal Grant Services LLC will provide local, state, federal, or other grant source consulting, drafting, and monitoring for the set price of $3,750 a month. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council Glenarden of Glenarden, Maryland, sitting in special regular session this third day of July 2024 as follows. That the consultant agreement is substantially the form as attached as Exhibit A, B, and it is hereby approved. Number two, that the City Council President be and is authorized to sign a consultant agreement in substantially the form as attached. Three, payment for services shall be taken from the American Rescue Plan line, item 20.38.10.7130. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon the passage. Is there a motion to adopt this agenda? I'm sorry, a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
I second. Is there any discussion? 1 second, Councilman Marion. I know you wanted. I will go to Mr. Stewart first because I think he wanted to correct an accounting line here.
Yes, yes. The line that where he will be paid from, it should be coming from the general operation account, which is 1075 10 71 24. So that's 10 75 10 7124.
Okay.
And that's for the grant writer. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilman Baharian, I saw you on mute.
Okay, I do have a couple of questions because in line 18, it says, whereas in accordance with Charter Section 823, the administration recommends that it is in the public interest of blah, blah, blah. So I'm looking at 823, and did we get a recommendation? You're referencing 823, and it actually says that authority in the mayor shall have the authority to recommend the award of contracts within the context of this charter. So is that what you're saying, that it's been recommended by the mayor? I mean, has it been?
Pretty sure the mayor. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure the mayor did not recommend this.
So that line isn't true. So that should not be in the resolution, if it's not true. And that's the process that the awards would, I mean, that the contracts would take. Also, did this, I don't remember this going through the formal bid process either. We never went through the formal bid process with this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it being advertised and we got 3 bidders and then the mayor giving a selection or we picking a selection. I don't remember that. I don't remember going through that process. So, I mean, I'm just saying, to me, if it needs to go through the proper channels if you're gonna bring it forth and in accordance to what the charter is requiring. Again, and also, like I said, I'm not understanding why it's being pushed the way it is. It's not following proper protocol when it comes down to this contractor. Everybody else, we make them go through proper protocol, but this isn't going through proper protocol because it was not, an RFP was not put out for grant services. This is not the only grant writer out there. I can guarantee you that. I know that for a fact. Also, you know, it states what some of the characteristics, some of the things you got to look at when you're selecting the person, and it says the character, integrity, reputation, judgment, experience, efficiency of the bidder needs to be looked at also. And I have a very big problem with a lot of things I found out and what I've heard. So, yeah, I think that we can do better. I honestly believe we can find somebody that there's too much controversy here and there's too much stuff out there. And I'm not understanding why this is being pushed through. It's almost like it's like a cherry pick. I mean, when the contract originally came, it was basically a fluff giveaway for him where he would get paid no matter what whenever we canceled the contract. We had to catch that. You know, that was in there. You know, working autonomously. You know, all kinds of things in there that benefited the vendor versus benefiting the city. And I just think that there's other grant writers out there I feel that this has not followed proper protocol. There was no RFP done. There's been no selection. And line 823, according to the charter, from what I read, it says that the mayor has to recommend. And I don't know, I haven't heard a recommendation from the mayor on this. If you're not going to take a recommendation, which is required by the charter, you shouldn't have that line in there, because that's misleading. That's not actually what happened. So that's my feeling on this. Again, I just think that we can do better. There's a lot of stuff out there. I've sent information to all the council on what I found out. I've told you what I've heard, what people have told me. Other municipal governments who've dealt with this person. It isn't favorable. It isn't very good. And I just think there's other grant writers out there that can do the exact same thing as this person can, and without all the controversy and all the background information, that's negative background information that's out there on. Because again, I mean, suing municipalities, and I'm not trying to have us in a lawsuit. You know, he done sued a number of municipalities, sued a number of people. You know, I just don't think I just don't think it's somebody that we should be doing business with, because I know nobody would. If you had to sign a contract personally, I know you would look at all of this and would say no. And I think we need to do better with the citizens' tax dollars. And this is a $45,000 contract. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, so we're moving forward with the resolution as amended for the accounting line and the removal of line 18. I'm sorry, did someone say something?
Yeah, I did. I asked the question. I asked, did the mayor recommend it? And you're saying you said you don't know, or she didn't?
We haven't received any recommendation from the mayor.
I mean, she's on the line, so I guess we need it.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I said she's on the line, so I mean, do we need to ask her or what? I mean, I'm just trying to say in line with what this resolution says and with.
I understand, and that's why I said it's amended. The grant writer answers to the council, and the grant writer was already our grant writer, and his contract was erroneously canceled under information that wasn't entirely accurate.
Mr.
And the
President?
council, 1 second, Councilmember. And the council decided that we wanted to continue with this services. And as you, Councilman Herring, said, that you did not want us to rescind the 90-day notice for his contract. And so we said, okay, well, then we'll just move forward and have him revise his contract and send a new contract. And that's what we did. It has gone to, he sent us his contract. It went to our legal team. The legal team revised the entire contract, so it's gone through legal efficiency. The Municipal Grant Solutions has accepted all of the changes that our attorney advised, and now we're here. And so I'm comfortable if people want to say no, but this is another resolution where we just need to say no or yes to, because there are things that we are missing out on because we don't yet have a grant writer on contract. So that's where we are.
Well, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, let me just say this. You cannot pull out Section 823. That's in a charter. That's a charter requirement. We can't arbitrarily violate the charter. How can we sit there and say we're going to pull something out that's a requirement of the charter? That's the law. And also, when we originally got this contract, it wasn't bidded out. It was a no bid contract, which wasn't right when we first got it. And that should not have been done. So when the contract expired, it's basically you're instituting another contract. It should have went out to bid. It still should have went out to bid, because it's still another contract. We're not extenuating the old contract. That contract was dead. The 90 days passed, and the contract was no longer valid. So you're doing another contract. So you really should have put out an RFP, request for proposal, and did it. But that wasn't even done originally. And you definitely cannot pull out Section 823. That's in the charter.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So are there any discussions before we vote? Vice President Ferguson.
I wanted to hear what the mayor had to say.
Mayor Cross, did you recommend this contract?
Thank you so much for the question, Councilwoman Ferguson and Councilman Herring. I appreciate all your words and comments. And you're absolutely correct, Councilman Herring, that no, I did not recommend this contract. And
Thank you, Mayor
you.
Cross.
Thank you.
Thank you,
it
Mayor
was
Cross.
not required either.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Oh, you want me to repeat what I said?
You said no, you did not, correct?
Yeah, I did not recommend this contractor. We did not do an RFP. And in fact,
All right,
we
thank you.
did have a report from the attorney on
Thank
this
you.
contractor. Thank you.
All right. So we're moving forward to vote. Yay or nay? Councilman Herring.
If the mayor's not recommending it and it's not out there, then you can't technically, if you put that in the resolution, 823, that's an issue, that's an error there. But I vote no on it. I just, it's too much with this, and I vote no.
Thank you. Councilwoman Jones.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, we've had this grant writer for over a year. None of this, all of this information, all of this back and forth discussion that was never presented. Nothing was ever said. I think he's done a fine job the year that we've had him, and I think that we should move forward with the grant writer. Yes, thank you.
Councilwoman Fareed.
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume.
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson.
You said you was gonna take out line 18?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Mr. President, may I?
Resolution passed as amended. Sure, Councilman Herring, please.
I don't think y'all can legally vote on this if the mayor didn't recommend it. You really need to talk to the attorney about that, because, and you can't take out line 8, you cannot take out line 18. It's in the charter. Because you take it out don't mean it ain't the law, because you didn't put it on the resolution. I don't think you can legally vote on it. And I think y'all really need to find out about that. It's really sad because we're sitting here holding the mayor to a standard that we ourselves are not following. That doesn't look good. That doesn't look good at all, because what we just did was violated the charter. Doesn't look good. I'm just saying.
We did not violate the charter.
You did violate the charter, because it says that you got to get a recommendation from the mayor. The mayor didn't recommend it, and y'all voted on it anyway. And you said you're going to take the line out that you put in the resolution to make people think that it's now valid, but the resolution is not valid because it's a contract. I think you really need to check with the attorney to see if this is a valid resolution. And if before you sign that contract, because you may be signing it illegally, I'm just telling you.
I appreciate it, Councilman Herring. The resolution is approved. And we'll move on. I think those are old hands, but Vice President Ferguson, is it the new hand?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't have a charter in front of me. What does it say? Does it say the mayor or?
So.
No, it says, I got it in front of me. Let me read it to you right quick.
1 second.
Because
so
I didn't even see it.
If council members want to go to the attorney to look for, a way out of the vote has already happened, right? So Councilman Herring said, "Oh, you should check with the attorney and see if you can even vote on that." Well, then the next step will be you can please check with the attorney. But us sitting here going back and forth for something that's already taken place, I don't think it's a good use of our time given the agenda for tonight. If members do want to reach out to the attorney, then we have the right to do that. And we can do that, but that'll be the next step. So we can sit here and come to the same conclusion in the next 30 minutes that we're just going to look to the attorney.
Mr. President, Yeah, because the council member has a right to change their mind or ask for reconsideration if they so choose. You can't just cut off debate because somebody's asking a question. And if the council member is asking for clarification, then let me read the clarification to her for section 823 that you put in the resolution. And it says authority in the mayor. The mayor shall have the authority to recommend the award of contracts within the context of this charter. And that's what it says. So I'm not understanding, how we're going to sit here. If she's saying no, I still think we need to find out from the attorney if you can. And because you think it's legal, don't mean it's legal. So again,
Mr. Herring, you're misrepresenting what I'm saying. I'm saying that
you said the resolution.
Councilman Herring. I'm saying that if you would like to reach out to the attorney, feel free to reach out to the attorney.
You reach out to the attorney. And I'll reach out to the attorney because I need them to get it to it.
Yeah, this is your challenge.
I reach out to him. I'm gonna ask about it. You come back with the answer that I think you're gonna come back with. I guess, and I would not sign that contract until you hear from the attorney. I honestly would, if I were you.
I understand what you're saying, Mr. Herring. And you have a concern, and you're right to have a concern, and you're well within your right to check the attorney. I do not oppose that. I'm just saying that if that's the next step, then please proceed with taking the next step. That's it. That's all I said. I'm not trying to prevent Vice President Ferguson from finding out anything. She can find it out.
No, I mean, I'm quite sure that there is words before and after one sentence. I just wanted to know what it said leading up to that. I mean, just like, but that's neither here nor there. I'm done.
Yeah, and no disrespect, I'm just given our agenda, and I want to be respectful of everybody's time, given that we're on the eve of a holiday, and try to work diligently, but also work efficiently to get through the agenda. So no disrespect to anyone.
I mean, I understand, a holiday or whatever, but you still want to be correct. I mean, I don't,
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm thinking that it said more than just the mayor, or it's something else before and after. I mean, I did ask for what the charter said as it mentioned the mayor, so he gave me what I asked for, but I guess I should have asked for everything. So my thing is, I can care less about how much what's tomorrow. I mean, I just, I need to make sure things are correct. Or either just
Oh, Madam Vice President, what I read was exactly what it is. That's 8. That's it. It's 823A. That was it.
Okay.
823 what?
A, like an apple.
Okay, but that's not what is in the. I don't see that in the chart on this resolution. I just see section 823. So you saying under 823 is only one? It's only one line.
On 823, it's a number of lines. It says the mayor recommends. Then she got to pick the lowest bidder. She got to follow all of these other steps to pick. But she makes the award. It said award. The whole section is award of the contract. And the mayor makes the recommendation, and that's what it says. He put that in the resolution. And that's what it says. It's a number of things after, but it just talks about what she got to look for when she makes the award, what she got to consider. But 823A says the mayor has the authority to make the award.
All right.
And Councilwoman Jones.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. I have my hand raised. I hope that everybody, moving right along. Out of transparency, I hope that the email that's sent to the attorney will be also sent to all of the council members so that we can understand what is being presented to the attorney that wants to be addressed. And I don't really remember when we did the trash contract. I don't remember the mayor agreeing to that. I remember the city manager doing the RFP, and then it came back to the council to look at who the administration, the city manager recommended. And we looked at the tallies from the RFP, but I don't ever remember the mayor being included in that process. Also, just like Councilwoman Fareed said, with the Gold Room, if we move forward, then, and someone wants to challenge what we've done as far as the grant writer, then let them challenge us. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Okay. So on the agenda tonight, we have that we will be going over the capital projects and ARPA funding, code enforcement, police department, finance, and cable. We could start with that, and if you know, council members wish to cut it short, then we can motion to push sections to the next meeting if we're not doing great on time, but if we are, we can try to get through all of these. With that being said, first up is the capital projects and ARPA funding. I can bring up budget. Quite small in here, but I'll expand it. Mr. Stewart, do you know what page that is on? I have the Excel file, so I have tabs.
I see. But the ARPA is definitely on page 5. As it relates to the whole deferred revenue, how we manage the fund. So if you look on page 5.
Okay, I have it. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Are there any questions as it relates to the any budget questions related to capital projects and the ARPA funding?
Yes, Mr. President.
Council, 1 second. I saw Jones' hand, but maybe that was old. Councilman Jones, was that?
Sir, that was an old hand. I just released it.
All right, Councilman Harry.
Okay, couple of things. I'm looking on here and for 2025, we put in the budget $360,000 for HOAs and a grant for Glenarden Housing, another $60,000 of grant for the Glenarden Housing Authority. And I think that $60,000 might be, that $360,000 is really should only be $300,000 because I think we only have 5 HOAs. I'm thinking Towns, Hamlin, Ross, Forest, Woodmore. Yeah, so there's only 5 HOAs, so there's an extra $60,000 in there. But what I would like to do with that extra $60,000, since we got to get rid of some money, is that I know that the American Legion building needs a lot of repair, and I'd like to offer them a $60,000 since we gave them one to the housing authority.
Okay. Councilwoman Fareed.
Yes, for the storm water runoff, I just want to confirm, is that the stormwater mitigation grant?
Mayor Cross thing, Mr.
Yes,
Stewart?
yes, it is for that project.
Okay, so no one has applied or received a grant for that.
My opinion is that I don't think it was advertised out enough for people to know that this is there for them to come in, as with some of the other grants that we have. So we definitely need to, send these information out to the public so that they apply. I don't know too if there are restrictions which is causing them to not come in.
Okay, so the reason why I was asking is because I do think we would need to make some amendments given that this money needs to be spent by the end of the year. If I recall correctly, and I know I wrote it, but it was so long ago, I believe you had to basically have the work done in and be reimbursed, which may be a barrier for some. So we may need to rework that language, and maybe it's just they could get a proposal from an approved or an an appropriate vendor, and then we give them the money so that they can proceed with the work as opposed to coming out of pocket for it and being reimbursed. And I think the other stipulation that may be just a challenge for us logistically to get it done before the end of the year is the check on whether they've also received reimbursement from the county's program for it. So we may need to look at that, because if we're going to advertise for it, we want people to actually be able to get it. And if we can't get enough people to get that money, we should be thinking about where can we divert those funds. So my other point would be we might want to cut this maybe in half, because if we haven't had anybody apply for it and it's been several years now, then I don't know that we're going to have an influx of people before the end of the year. And I would hate to have this money just hanging out and not being used for anything. I don't know what council members' thoughts are on that, cutting it in half so that we could possibly use it for other things.
I'm fine with that.
Mr. President?
Councilmember Herring?
Yeah, let's wrap this up. I wanted to follow up on some other things too on here. And I'm also.
Well, 1 second. So thus far, we have $60,000 coming off of the HOAs.
The HOA, yeah.
And we have $25,000 coming off of the stormwater drain. All right, sorry, Mr. Herring, go ahead.
$60,000 coming off HOA. I would like to do a grant for, like I said, American Legion to repair their building. Yeah, and same in line with Councilwoman Fareed is that the $100,000 is no longer there for the storm remediation. That hasn't been used.
What line? Where are you looking at?
Right where Councilwoman Fareed was talking about stormwater runoff. Right underneath that, it says stormwater remediation. That there, it's like it was $100,000 in 2024, and now in 2025, the $100,000 was not there. We didn't spend $100,000 on that project. I don't remember it. Mr. Treasurer, did we?
No, we didn't. Now understand that line is telling you that these are what we have budgeted for last year. If you see at the bottom, you see 2,975,000 is telling you that all of this, except in 789,979 was spent. So we had to carry this over to this year.
So $100,000, you're saying $100,000 was spent or was not spent?
It was not spent.
Okay, so that needs to go into the 2025 budget, because it needs to be, that stormwater remediation needs to be done. And it's done by resolution, so we need to have that in the budget.
So carry forward.
Yes, should go forward, yeah. Still need to get that done. Now the contractor grant manager for $65,000, is that for Mr. Hemler?
It's for Mr. Hemler.
Okay, can we change that to contract? Can we change that to opera manager? Because it looks like we got the grant manager in two places.
Okay. Sure.
And with the speed bump program, could you please break out the speed bump program out of that 226 and make that a separate line? Because I don't want to get caught up in the sidewalks and the curbs. I can't remember. I think it was, I can't remember. I think it was like $50,000 or something like that.
It was 40,000, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
So could you make a separate line and take that down to 186,700?
Mm-hmm.
That's it for me, Mr. President.
Any other adjustments here? I'm sorry, Councilwoman Fareed? Maybe that was an old hand.
No, sorry. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to get that mute button off. So I wanted to know what we were doing with the redirected funds. So, or where we were redirecting the excess funds. So the 60 that was coming off of the grant for the HOAs and the 25 that's coming off of the stormwater. I heard Councilman Herring suggest that we put money towards the
American Legion.
yes, thank you. The American Legion. So I'm assuming we need to pass a resolution for that, correct? Or can we?
Correct.
Okay. And so it counts. So the other 25,000, I would like to use a portion of that to help students in the city for educational supplements. So what I mean by that is parents helping their kids with tutoring services like Kumon or Mathnasium, since the children are, as a result of the pandemic, have a significant learning loss and have still at this point need to be catching up, and having access to services like a Kumon or a Mathnasium are typically things that are reserved for those who have, excess funds and who can afford it. And I don't want the children in this city who may not be able to afford that to not be able to have access to those types of services, since they are right here in our city. So I can put together a resolution for that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Fareed. I was thinking of something in the same vein. And I don't know how council members feel about this, but at least I know that it was a struggle for my mom to get us school clothes and such. I know that we're going to do a backpack giveaway or anything like that, but I do know that a lot of kids go and have uniforms, things like that for school, and wanted to know if we were able to do something like that for residents in the city of Glenarden, if there's going to be access. And if we're going to be able, if we're giving rebates and able to put money in the hands of our citizens, I think that our youth should be included in that in any way we can help. So I'm in agreement with Councilwoman Fareed as it relates to educational services, but also welcome Councilmember's thoughts on expanding it to expanding the backs to school supplies to include possible uniforms and clothes for children. Any thoughts on that?
I think that's a great idea. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I saw you first, so, and then I saw Vice President Ferguson.
Yes, Council President. I think that's a great idea. I do know that Zion Church's outreach ministry has something similar that they do. They are supporting a couple of schools in the area. And I'm trying to think of the right name. It's basically like a closet where they have these uniforms available, other things, so that people who need access to them are basically identified. And this wouldn't necessarily be the only way they could be identified, but schools would be able to see who needs that help and can be directed to those services. So we could do something similar, or we could support Zion Church or any other not-for-profits that are doing this type of service.
Vice President Ferguson?
Yes, I was just going to say that I had someone from Glenarden Housing mention to me after a meeting that the kids, there are several kids, families over there that they can't afford their uniforms, or whether they outgrow them or they just can't. So I am definitely and I had planned on mentioning that whether we could use some funds from some of the grants that we haven't been moving fast enough, because we allocate some money to that. So I'm for that. I don't know, we can figure out how we could do it, but definitely supply school uniforms. Thank you.
Awesome. Councilman Herring, I saw you next.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that. I think that's a good program we can put together, and I think that maybe we can look at. I think there's a uniform store right down here on Forest Boulevard that provide uniforms, and maybe we can contract with them and provide students with vouchers that they can go down there because it's hard to figure out what size students need. And if we can contract with them and give them a voucher to go down there and pick out a uniform, we can pay them for a certain number of uniforms that we're going to hand out. I think that'd be a good program to have. All right,
Great.
thank you.
Councilman Guillaume.
Thank you, Council President. I want to say that I want to echo what everybody else said. I want to say that I think that it's a great idea. I am probably pushing. I'm thinking that I don't know if the treasurer, what Mr. Stewart thinks, or how the council's will be, but if we just have youth services or youth and family line item for the ARPA spending, I don't know, I'm up for whatever, but I think it's a great idea. And I also think that scholarships should also be part of that. I know I mentioned it before. And at one point, Councilwoman Fareed, we were entertaining different names. We'll revisit that, but ARPA dollars can be spent to award scholarships to youth. So I also think that should be something that we should consider to get the money to folks who would make use of it.
Okay. Councilwoman Jones.
Council President, I echo the same sentiment as all the other council members have said. I was going to say the same thing that Councilwoman Ferguson said, that there are some citizens over in the Glenarden housing area that have asked or I have been told about that have some challenges that would need this type of support. So I am in agreement that we set up this type of program. Thank you, Council and Council President.
Thank you. Mayor across the sea, your hand is.
Yes, thank you, Council President. I just wanted to say that I agree with Councilman Herring on the Post 275. They are an instrumental part of this community. And I also want to readdress the amounts that we gave to our Boys and Girls Club and our track team. Those young folks that serve in those capacities, many of which are in Ardners, that we can also do a little bit better, I think, than what we originally gave them, was something low, like maybe 2,500 or maybe 3,500. I believe that this organization does so much for our youth by way of sports and getting them, like our middle school boys were the champions of the intramural sports. So this is something that we need to continue to reinvest into alternative careers that will bring scholarships when they get ready to go to college in the sports and the arts and humanities. So as you're looking at the ARPA money, particularly if we look at Boys and Girls Club and the track team, many of our at-risk community children are playing in those intramural sports in which the parents are paying out of pocket. So thank you for that.
All right, thank you. And I take it that everybody else's hands are old, so I will move on unless I'm mistaken.
No, they're not old.
Okay.
I had put my hand back up because I was actually wanting to put Councilwoman Guillaume on the spot for a great idea that she had, and she started to articulate it. But I think that we can expand it further, just that thought as we're talking about it, to do, I think, Councilwoman Guillaume, correct me if I'm wrong, you were looking at sort of vouchers that can help parents who are looking to get education for their children at private institutions. So that was one. The other thing is, I just wanted to clarify that the money that we are giving to the Glenarden Boys and Girls and the track team is not coming from ARPA. So that's something that we agreed to have as part of our operating budget every year. So that wasn't a one-time thing. If we want to increase that, it would not be in this section. It should be, that would be a discussion for the section that it should be in.
Okay. Thank you. So Mr. Stewart, how much money do we have left in ARPA?
Mr. Curtis, I was just going to talk about that.
Thank you.
So what we have received was 4,323,367. Through to May, we have spent 1,070,000,
Hold on,
leaving us
say
with
that again. Say it again.
what
4 million.
4,323,367.
Okay.
Through May, we have spent 1,070,846, leaving us with 3,252,521. The amount we have obligated, well, currently is for that caller bus that we just bought, which is 124,000. Now, if you look at the budget, you'll see that the total that we are proposing to spend for 2025 is 2,119,035. That is still going to leave us with 1,009,000 for 86. So we need to spend a little bit more money of the, we need to have a little bit more initiatives in the ARPA funds. So all of what you're talking about sounds good. And I see that Councilwoman Fareed is saying cut that money in half and use it for something else. But I'm saying we need to add more initiatives within the ARPA funds. Right now, the only amount that I have set for Glenarden is really to cover some of those salaries and expenses that we have that we are going to be recovering from the ARPA. But there are other initiatives that need to be activated so that we could spend this money, or at least obligate it before December 31st.
Where is the money for the nutritional center?
The money for the nutritional center. So the money for the nutritional center and the chamber, I think those are together. Wait a minute. No, it's not here. The only amount I have here is for the chambers, the council chambers, which was 300,000 last year, and we spent some of it, leaving only 276,931. So that's what we brought over for 2025 to ensure that the council chambers is looked after this year.
Yeah, well, that's a line that needs to increase to incorporate one nutritional center construction. And we probably will need more than the 276 for council chambers, but we have to make sure we get that proposal back so that we can understand what we're looking at. Vice President Ferguson?
I was just wondering, what do we use any of that chamber's money on?
It was to do I think it was a feasibility study that the contractors did.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Herring, so what will help me, since you don't raise your hand, if you don't have a question, put yourself on mute. If you have a question, unmute yourself and I'll call on you. Thank you. Because I'll periodically look at you and see if you're off mute. All right, so we know we need to I guess Councilman Herring, can you remember what we want to set aside for the nutritional center?
It's $50,000.
$50,000. Okay, so
Yeah.
we need to add $50,000 back. And can we just put the council chambers to 350 even? Of course, we're gonna hopefully get the proposal back, but. All right, Councilwoman Jones.
Thank you, Council President. I was just going to say, hopefully we'll get the proposals back soon, and we'll be able to put a better figure than, because I think both of the figure for the nutrition center and the council chambers is rather low.
Okay, so let's Mr. Simpson and Mr. Stewart, let's kind of push the issue to get that proposal back. I know we have another meeting on the budget, so we're not going to finalize anything tonight, but if we could reach out to get those numbers back, because it's been out for quite some time, we should have numbers at this point. Pressing that issue, please. And then we can revisit those amounts. As relates to the, I don't know, we'll call it, I think, I forgot what Councilmember Fareed called it. As it relates to giving money to our youth. What amount are we thinking? I'm thinking.
I think, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just doing the calculations. I think 200,000, because it, like, Kumon is $300 a month if you do both math and reading. And at $300 a month for the school year, that's about $3,000 per child. So,
Okay.
I mean, we have $3 million we need to spend.
Okay.
I don't know how much Mathnasium is, but that's how much Kumon is. And so that's like I think at the top of the scale, because Mathnasium is only one subject.
Okay. So Mr. Stewart and Mr. Simpson, if we could do a little bit of research on that, because we also have vouchers for clothes and things like that. So if we can figure out just those numbers for the tutoring piece of it, if Councilman Guillaume, if you can get with Mr. Simpson, Mr. Stewart, as it relates to the scholarship piece of it, and that'll give us a better understanding of where we should be, because I appreciate Councilwoman Fareed saying something, because when I say numbers, I go with large numbers, but
Yeah.
do a little research on it so that we can feel solid with what we have will be great. Councilman Herring?
Yeah, I was gonna, I know they're saying 200, I think you probably want to do 250. If you got all those components, it's gonna, I mean, because I think if you're gonna do scholarships, we need to get meaningful scholarships. $500 scholarships really, that may get you 2 books if you, even though you don't really use books nowadays, but I just think we probably want to look at about 250. He's $250,000 to go toward the kids.
Yeah, because I was gonna say 350 given the amount of kids, but doing a little bit of research, we could help us out. Councilwoman Jones?
Thank you, Council President. So the programs that we're getting ready to institute concerning the youth, this is going to be for anybody that wants that requests assistance, or will it be for underprivileged or income cited levels? How will it be, Councilwoman?
I can answer.
Councilman Guillaume?
Okay, Councilwoman Guillaume. Okay.
As far as the scholarships are concerned, they're different. The beauty of this is there are variations. You could order. You don't have to be restricted, and I think that's one of the issues that we're falling into issues with, as far as like the intergenerational poverty fund, for example, like it's income restricted. So there are we could have a series of different scholarships. One can be income restricted, and then another one could just be like when people, they can write an essay, or as long as they live in Glenarden or their families live in Glenarden, like things of that nature. And we could make sure that the money goes directly to the institution. So there are different avenues that we can have. And that's what's the beauty about having the scholarship program, because it's going to, number one, go towards education, but number two, it's less restricted as far as the spend down is concerned for us as the ARPA carriers.
Okay. Oh, so we're going to use ARPA money to do this.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And
Okay.
I would like to also, going back to the point that Councilman Herring and Council President mentioned, I would probably, because City Treasurer Stewart made it very clear that we have way too much money in our account for ARPA dollars. So I would opt for 350. And if we don't spend it, which I do think we will spend it, but if we
Yeah.
don't, we just don't. But I do think that we'll spend more than I think it'll be great. The other thing that I also want to say, as far as spend down of ARPA dollars, there's nothing that holds us back from reusing a grant or an ARPA opportunity that we used in the past that worked. I know that the Good Samaritan Fund, for example, that went out quickly. It was much lower than others for certain things. But I also know, similar to the tax rebate, that there are a lot of people that probably were weary of it, that didn't know about it, and some were also non-English speaking. So we thank goodness we had it in Spanish. But I do think that there are opportunities for us to spend down by bringing back different programs that we used that enabled us to get the ARPA dollars out the door to the citizens.
Thank you, Councilwoman Guillaume. Councilwoman Fareed?
Yeah, I think is with the tutoring assistance, I don't think that there should be any income restrictions. I mean, we've only spent a quarter of the money that we have, and we have until December 31st. So at this point, I think we just need to make the program available, and it's on a first come, first served basis, making sure that, you know, if there are areas or segments of the population that we feel may be underserved, that we're targeting them in the promotion of it. But I think we need to spend this money.
Agreed. So, I'm sorry, Vice President Ferguson.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Councilwoman Guillaume said. I actually had someone text me right now in this meeting about the Samaritan, or did we have any when was we gonna bring it back, or do we have any more money? And I've had several citizens ask about that. The other thing that we might want to check is the income level. Some people didn't qualify because just because it was a little bit too low, but it did not they still had a need, but they might have been missed it by $100 or more. So maybe we need to consider the income criteria as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Guillaume, is that a new hand? I think so. So we'll move on, and we'll revisit. We'll go ahead and revisit, and once we have some more research and proceed accordingly. All right. Any other questions on the ARPA funds? Mr. Stewart.
With all of what we just discussed and what we could add to this, the spending, we still have 586,000 left.
Yeah, so let's circle back with what we have. I think Councilwoman Guillaume had a great point that we can go back and revisit what has worked well in the past, see what we can do that. Then we want to also leave a cushion to see what we get the numbers back from the proposal for the nutrition room and the council chambers. So let's leave it where it is as of now, and then we'll revisit once we have some more data.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. ARPA funds down. Next up is, 1 second, I'm sorry. Let's open up another browser. All right, next up is code enforcement. Mr. Stewart, what page is that on?
$18.
18, thank you. Code enforcement. All right, council members, are there any questions related to the budget for code enforcement?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. Stewart, I'm sorry, Mr. Councilman Herring?
One day tonight. Actually, item number under salaries. Here's a code enforcement officer that's getting a $6,000 increase. Why is that? It's going from budgeted in 2020 and 2024 $49,000, and now it's going up to $55,000. And no one there is, everybody there is new. You have no senior code enforcement officer, so I'm not sure why that's going up so high. When everybody else is getting a 3% COLA increase.
Mr. Stewart, Mr. Green?
But first, I'll have Mr. Green speak on this. But yes, we did give everybody a 3% increase. But where this employee is concerned, I think Mr. Green could give a little bit more information on it.
Yes, good afternoon, evening, everyone. This particular code enforcement officer comes to us with a lot of experience. She will actually be taking some leadership responsibilities as the team increases. And so we wanted to compensate this particular code enforcement officer for the responsibilities and knowledge that she has now and the responsibilities that she will have moving forward.
Is this, I think that we need to look at that. Is it in line with our pay scale that we have in place? Or did y'all just give her an increase? We have a pay scale in place, and we have a lot of criteria on how salaries are actually applied to the individual employee. Was the pay scale utilized for this position?
Mr. Herring, the pay scale was not used for any of the position. All positions, including that, was given a 3%. But with regard to what Mr. Green just explained, I think the person was given an increase, and I'm not sure if they're on the scale. So I have to look back at that. But everyone got a 3%.
Yeah, 3%, I have no problem with 3%, but it looks like they're getting more of a what is that, like an 8%?
It's like a promotion per se.
So again, then that means we need to look at the pay scale and see if that person meets the criteria that's laid out in the pay scale when it comes down to how they ranked. Every employee was ranked in the pay scale that we had. So everybody went through the pay scale, and everybody is being paid according to the rankings and the criteria that is set down in the pay scale that we paid all our money for. So before any salaries are jumped up for promotions, that it need to go against the pay scale, because we have steps and all that other stuff in there. That's why we don't want to get away from that. So I'm just like, and I like to see for myself, because I'm just not, I just like to see, because I don't like people just being bumped up just to be bumped up, and it's not in accordance to what, our pay scale allows for them to get. I mean, we voted on that, we put it in place, that's basically the law. So every new position needs to be run through that pay scale in order to see if that is what they should be making, or see what they should be making. The 3% increase, that's in line with the pay scale, because I think we actually incorporated a 3% COLA into the pay scale when we actually had the company do that. So that isn't a problem, but this jumping this up to 55 from 49, yeah, that's a jump. All right, thank you.
Okay.
I do have another item on that while I'm in code. 25, when you go down to abatement cost $25,000 and the actual was only $7,000, what are you going to do different? That's going to for the abatement process, and actually give me a description of what the abatement process is. And I kind of know what it is, but I just want to know what you're going to do different.
Okay, before Mr. Green explain that, it's actually $5,200 for the abatement cost.
It's $5,200. Okay.
Right. And that is a recoverable cost. And how he was explaining it to me is that these are funds that will be recoverable from those who are hit with the abatement.
So can I ask about, so this budget, you might ask you right quick before you move on. This budget is different from the one you sent us in Excel?
No.
No.
Because I'm looking at the one in Excel. I'm looking at code enforcement.
Let me see.
And
I see $5,200, Councilman Harry.
I'm looking at 25 on my Excel spreadsheet. This is the only one I got from him. Unless some of the links went off. Oh, I see what is happening now. I think the links are off or something in this one. Because it's actually pulling police.
What do you have as a total expenditure for code enforcement? Do you have 325, 474?
Hold on a second, let me see. Nah, my numbers are off. My numbers are off. I have to use a spreadsheet because my numbers are off. Yeah, I got 369 on here. I'm not sure what happened.
No, well, don't use that then. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Damn. All right. Okay, so I guess everything else is the permit tracking system. That's $10,000. Have they looked into one? I mean, we've been talking about a permit tracking system for years, and I still haven't seen one. Haven't seen an example of what we're looking at. Nothing. Have we even looked into anything? And are we going to move forward with this?
Yes. So I would ask Mr. Green to speak more on that.
Yes, thank you for the question, Councilman Herring. And yes, I have started looking into this process. I've did Zoom calls with 3 separate companies, and they have given me a example, for lack of better words, of the systems that they have and what their functionalities are. I have not decided which one to actually present to the acting city manager and the treasurer yet, because we think, and maybe there's a system that the city already has that may serve our purposes for a database for code enforcement that track permits, also store data such as property violation notices, civil citations, and things to that effect. I'm working with the acting city manager to see if that program that the city already has will be sufficient. But if it isn't, then we're going to continue to move forward with selecting a contractor that serves our purposes.
Let me ask a question. Whatever system you get, will it be integrated into the website?
That is going to be a requirement, and that's what I'm speaking with them about to make sure that it is such.
And you think $10,000 is enough for that?
Well, so what I'm finding out is that some of these modules, they can be broken down into, you don't have to take the entire program. For an example, it may have a building permit module, licensing module, and a data storage module. So if we wasn't ready for the licensing side of it yet, we can remove that module from the pricing. $10,000 is a little on the lower side, but I think that number came from what the previous city manager put there. We was working together to try to figure out a system that fits our needs, that was reasonably priced, but at the same time, we wanted to make sure that we have enough money so that we can get a system that encompasses all of that as we start to move toward the licensing, the inspection side of it for the business licensing and the rental licensing side.
All right, thank you. I'm done, Mr. President. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Jones.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to get clarity on this, the salaries. So if the 3% that we're giving is just a COLA, cost of living adjustment, then if we look at the scale, the salary scales that we have, then maybe the employees should have got more of a raise than 3%. Because if we look at the scale for each employee and where they are now, where they should be at this juncture, if we're giving them a raise, maybe we should have given them more. Maybe Mr. Stewart can answer that question for me.
Yes, I could. So what happened is I was giving everyone a 3% increase, but what we saw on the pay scale, I realized that it actually will bring them to 5%. Because the pay scale moves up in increments of 2.5%. So with that, I think there may be some adjustments required for everyone to give them that increase, to bring them back on the pay scale.
So right now you're saying the COLA is only giving them, not giving them the complete increase that they should get under the pay scale.
Exactly.
All right, thank you, Council President. Maybe we need to look at that again to give our employees a better raise than 3%.
I'm all for it. I'm all for a lot of things in a constructive way. Better pay and better retirement. So we can look into that. That'd be great. Any other questions as it relates to code enforcement? All right, we'll move on to let's say police department for last. Let's do finance. And what page is that on? Mr. Stewart? Anybody?
Page 14. 14.
Yeah, sorry, I was
14.
muted.
Thank you. Because remember, I have tabs. I don't have pages. 14, finance. Council members, any questions as it relates to the finance department? Actually, I think I had some. Councilwoman Jones, sorry.
Okay, I'm looking at the treasurer's salary. I thought we were going to go a little higher this year with that. To kind of put him in the ballpark of his experience and knowledge, and of course his diligent working with the city since day one. So Mr. Stewart, you're only getting 3% also?
Yes, it was across the board.
Okay, so, across the board, they did 3% for everybody. So on the pay scale, where would you be right now?
I don't have the pay scale up right now. I'm sorry. Let me take a minute to look for that. Thank you.
No, okay, you can provide that information when we look at, I guess, a better adjustment for the employees, all the employees across the board.
Will do.
Is that fair, Council President?
I mean, you're certainly entitled to a proposal for for Mr. Stewart to have an increase in pay scale, but but if we're going to be looking at that across the board, then I mean, bottom line is I don't have a problem with it, but it's your right to propose that, so that's fine.
Thank you.
And like I think Councilman Harris said, I'm in agreement as long as it's in conformity with the pay scale that we've established, because I don't want us to get far off of what we've already done or what we've paid money to construct.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. All right. Hearing my questions down. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong budget. Mr. Stewart, are we ever going to get a new accounting system, or is that something that you just decided that we just don't need? Our current system is efficient for us.
Okay, so based on what the current system is doing, I am getting through with what I need to do. But I do believe that we need something that can be more of an ERP that is touching all departments, where they could actually get into the system and do some purchase orders. The signatories can come in and see what's going on. So I really do think we need to move to another system, but with this is just time to really sit with the vendors to see the best system we could get for the money that we could spend.
Okay. So I just want to encourage you to really look at that, and also a payment system that is more up to date. We're still signing a ton of checks, and we can automate this and do approvals so that members don't have to keep on coming up to the municipal center every time there's an emergency or things like that. Where, I mean, there are a lot of systems now that can accommodate government services, where it's automated, where it's electronic. We really need to look forward. I mean, it's great that things are being able to be sufficient for now, but looking forward, we need to prepare for our future and where Glenarden is going, and all that we want to do. And having efficient systems can help us move the process a lot faster. So, I said that if there are no more questions on the finance department, we will move on to the.
Oh,
Hey,
Mr. President, I do have one
I'm sorry.
question.
Yep, Councilman Harry.
Yeah, auditing services, they're going up by $10,000.
Just give me a second. Let me see. Professional service. No, they remain at 30,000.
30. Oh,
Yes.
okay. So we only spent 20. That's not the final number that's in there right now. The 20,000 is not the final number.
What we have spent so far is $28,000, I think, for this year. So next year, I think it's going to 30, based on the pay scale, based on the budget, the plan that we have with them. So we are still below what they are. We're still higher than what they are actually requesting.
So we don't want to take that to like 35 just in case we need them for something
additional.
additional project or something, or may have come in and research something.
Let me see. I was looking at another area, but yes, we could move it up maybe another 8,000 just in case. And one other thing too, the fact that we're doing the rebates, I would really like us to have a rigid audit on the rebates at the end of the year, just to make sure that there is clarity, just to make sure that it is transparent. So I would agree with you there.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. Cable department. There we go. Any questions on the cable department? I have a few. You go ahead, Councilman Harry. I'll go after
Go
you.
ahead. I'm still go ahead. I'm still looking at my flawed table, my flawed spreadsheet. All right.
So my question was related to the certified digital marketing professional. Who's that for? Any Mr. Stewart?
Sorry, hold a minute. You're saying
This so conferences and training. So we have a contractor, right? We don't have a fully staffed employee in the cable department. So who's going to conferences and training?
so conferences and training is really for money and the different training that she will be utilizing. And she's going into some memberships as well. But I'm wondering if you're talking about the membership more than the more than conference and training, because it is the same as last year.
And I don't know why I didn't ask this last year.
At $3,000 conference and training, she'll be going to some training based on and conferences based on her memberships.
I'm fine with her getting trained in the conferences. I'm curious as to why is it in a cable department? Should it be in the administration or something?
No, because she is responsible for the cable department. As a matter of fact, she's responsible for cable and media. And that's one of the things we wanted to talk about, the fact that should we consider this department as not just cable, but cable and communication and media? Because it's all about the website, getting information out, and the cable department and cable itself. So we were considering that this department may need some upgrade in its name, to say that it's not only cable but it's media in general.
So where's the so she's in the cable department. Where's the related
No.
salary component?
She's in administration, but her functions, all of the things that she does, is in the cable department.
Okay, well, that doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with I thinking forward. I remember this comment from Mr. Powell. I agree we need a economic development office. I agree that we need communications department, and whether we couple communications and cable, who knows? But it's a bit weird that if she's responsible for this department, that her salary's in one place and then her responsibilities in another. That's just odd to me. And
Mr. Curtis, I agree. And that's one of the challenges I had is to really come to the council to say, hey, can we move her and set up a salaries within the cable department where she's responsible for, and really staff that position, staff that department, because we have professional fees, if you could see, going up by $26,000 because we are employing a consultant to help with media and website matters.
okay,
So
I'll say
yeah.
it kind of switches my other questions, so I'll just think about how I want to just think for a second, and I'll go to Vice President Ferguson. Vice President Ferguson.
Yeah, I mean, I was wanting to know the same thing. If her, hello?
Yes, we're here.
Yeah, if her position is in administration, then anything pertaining to her training and membership, it should be under there rightfully. But I mean, just hearing what you're saying, Mr. Stewart, basically you, I guess if I'm understanding, just to rewrite the title and the descriptions for this particular department and make it enhance the department with a, and they just, in other words, Ms. Ward would be moved from administration under cable, and then it would kind of come like a department.
Exactly. That is what I'm recommending.
Okay, because if I mean, that might be something we need to be considered. Because otherwise, I think to appropriating funds under cable for specifically for Ms. Ward is out of order. I mean, it should be, even if they put a line just for her in administration, such as in legislation we have the council and then we have a little line for the council clerk. But I think this is something that does need to be looked at. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you,
Yeah, Mr. President.
Councilman Herring.
Yeah, and I was going to follow up on the same thing. The cable department is under a franchise agreement, a cable franchise agreement. That's why we don't have any staff back there. Everything that's done back there got to be in accordance to that franchise agreement. And the cable department was instituted by ordinance under that franchise agreement. So her membership dues and all of that conference and training should be under administration. Like Councilwoman Ferguson said, you can put a line there, constant training for media specialists, whatever her position is. But that does, and all those membership dues definitely need to come out of there, because we should not be paying membership dues under the franchise agreement. We don't pay membership dues. Everything that comes in through the franchise fees and PEG fees are to be used for cable. So that 3,000 and I don't know. Let me look at it right now. Okay, yeah, 3,000 and 11,000. That definitely needs to come out. And before you make any move with this, you really need to make sure that we're in line with the franchise agreement that we've signed. Otherwise, we could lose that agreement in total. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that information. But what I wanted to know is if we could enhance this department to provide, to do more and have like a line, like some line items with regard to the PEG section of the agreement that you're talking about, Mr. Herring.
You have PEG support, PEG equipment in there already, correct? Like $10,000 for one item, and I see PEG for studio 5,000. So yeah, the PEG money needs to be spent. I mean, you may want to just set up a separate department for PEG, because that money definitely needs to be spent. We're sitting there and that money just grows, but it can only be used for equipment. So we need to look at that. Because what is like $250,000 or more in there in that PEG account or something?
Yes, it's like, yeah. It's like 300,000 there.
Yeah, there's $300,000 sitting there that needs to be spent. You can only spend it on cable equipment under the PEG agreement. So, we need to look at that and
So the question I'm asking is, can we upgrade this department not only for the PEG, but also for the whole media operation that we have going on in the city?
I don't know. You'd have to amend the ordinance that was put in place for cable, because it was specifically for cable, and I think we put the ordinance in place because of the franchise agreement required us to do it. You probably have to, you'd have to enhance it based on, that's a tricky one there. You got to be careful with that.
Yes.
Because that agreement is in place, and every municipality, U.S. cable have to sign that agreement and sign a PEG agreement. And you don't want to lose your franchise agreement. So I don't know. I would stay away from cable and look at another department.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same thing, just create a separate communications department where media could be a part of it and leave cable alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds reasonable.
Ms. Councilwoman Jones?
That was going to be my comment that Councilman Herring brought up about the PEG grant, that PEG grant is just for that cable department. And maybe we can use some of the PEG money to upgrade the equipment and things of that nature. But as far as the employee that we have operating or over that department or providing that function for the city, I don't think we can put her in that until you do go through. And I mean, I know cable has changed, but the changes, I think you'd have to go through, I think that's under Sue Ellen Ferguson. And she's the attorney for that PEG grant and the franchise agreement. We would probably have to speak with her to see what kind of changes we could make, because like I said, over the years, cable has changed. It's not what it was when they first instituted this program. So thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Jones. All right. So Mr. Stewart, you'll make the transition. If one of the more senior council members could help me with this, in establishing a new department, that doesn't have to go through like a formal resolution or anything, does it?
Normally what you would do is you would just add the department to the budget and it's added. So you have a blank page, whatever you want on there, 0 on 0, communications department, or we just add the department and then when we vote on it, it's established.
Okay. All right, Mr. Simpson, Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Go ahead and allocate
Open
that.
a department for that. Okay.
Open a department for that. All right, any other questions as relate to cable? All right. Then up next, final budget item is public safety. I think I just passed it. It's public safety.
Page 17.
Page 17, 16, 17.
Yes.
All right. Council members, are there any questions here?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilmember Herring.
Okay, the third line for maintenance agreement for radio and live scan is going up to $30,000. And we've only spent, is this right? $255 and 23 and 449, 64 and 24. And now we're going up to 30,000.
Okay. Hold a second for me. I am looking at our expenditures through to May 25. No, to May 24. Hold a second for me. Live scan. So for live scan, we actually spent through to May 2024, $18,561. This $30,000 that we have here is estimating that we may have over 800 people coming in for fingerprinting.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that 800 times the 350 is what we are expecting to come in.
You're expecting.
Yes. And remember too that this expense is tied directly with the revenue as well.
Yeah, and the revenue is, I think your
The
revenue is
revenue, sorry, the revenues for LiveScan.
what's the revenue for live scan? You
So
budgeted for live scan.
So whatever we receive, that's what we'll be spending. Because we're just like a pass-through where that is concerned. But the service fee, the administrative fee, is just fingerprinting, which we are expecting 800 plus maybe a few other of the regular fingerprinting. So that should, if you look at the revenue side, you will see that fingerprinting would work out to be like $40,000 for the year.
Impossible. You're nowhere near that now. You're looking at your projected for 2024, you're saying that 12,183. The year before in 2023 is only $20,000. $20,000. You're not going to get $40,000 for fingerprinting.
Yeah.
Fingerprinting, especially for live scan isn't worth it. Live scan is not worth the money that we put out for that. That's a wasted service.
Through to 2025, we have 19,261. But I suspect that we'll be doing a lot more next year.
I don't suspect so. What you get is what you're getting now. It's been a regular trend with live scan that it's really a drain on the city's tax dollars. It really is. Nobody benefits from it in the city. The one people that benefit from it is, and because it's a break even, like you said, it's a break even. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't benefit anybody. It's everybody outside the city that's benefiting from this. I think it's a waste. It's a waste of service. We make no money off of it. And then when I was bringing up the issue with the fingerprinting about those $20 fees not being charged, that would give us something, but even that's not being charged all the time like it's supposed to be. So it seemed like it's a waste of service for me. And that yeah, that $50,000, that's $30,000. That's a lot. But what about the so the next line down, repair and maintenance vehicles, preventive maintenance, 55,000. You've gone up from, you've only spent 1,700, almost 1,800 in 2024. What's your projected for that?
Hold a second for me. So vehicle maintenance, as it relates to spending through to May, we have it a part of vehicle maintenance where To date, we have $4,000, but I have to look into that because I know there was one bill that we had for $5,000. So I have to look further into that. I think there may be a misallocation here because I have 28,000 for equipment, and I think that's for the vehicles. So 28,941 for vehicle maintenance so
20,
far.
20, how much thousand?
28,941,000 for vehicle maintenance.
Still at 55,000, yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see those numbers. I'd like to see what actually makes up that number.
Yes.
Support equipment, law enforcement officers, okay, so we spent 20,000 in 2024, 54 the year before that, so I ain't gonna go on that, we're gonna reach that. So do we have any more expenses coming in for support equipment, law enforcement supplies?
I can speak on that. Yes, we do. Last year it was 75,000. Actually, they dropped it to 50. So I was talking with Dean about that today. I think we probably need to go back up to that because we're still working with getting our law enforcement manuals and getting training online. That's going to be 15,000 added to this. So Dean had 75,000 here and it dropped to 50. So we're still trying to figure out how it dropped down to 50. So we was discussing that today, and I was telling them about us having Lexapol now and training online for the officers and stuff. So it most definitely got to be more than 50. And then we weren't able to get some grants this year during the last quarter, so we missed out probably on over close to 100,000 in grants the last couple of months for some of the stuff that we're supposed to be getting. So I'd like to have that go up from the 50,000. And then
when Chief and I was looking at it, we think the 75 is still small, given all that will be done, especially with Lexapol, because that's an annual contract that we have to pay. And
how much
so I was recommending Lexapol is like $10,000. That is going to be added to this that we're doing.
Yeah. And they
That's
give us programs, online service training, updating the police manual with the state laws and all that type of stuff. So yes, and most of the municipalities have it. We're one of the few that don't have it.
And what it is really is to ensure that our officers are in compliance and up to date with their training and their ability to do the work out there, assessment to do the work.
Okay. Let me go to the next item. Live scan fingerprint. That's the CJIS cost. That's the 3125 that we pay, right?
The 25,000 that you see there? Yes.
That's the 3125 that we pay. You're talking about 800 times 3125 would be $25,000.
That's it.
Okay, special events, I can follow that. So is 17,000 enough to have all your events, Chief?
No, sir.
To have them, a real event,
Right, to have a real event. No, it's not.
Yeah.
And we just added the father-daughter dance, and that's starting to pick up more and more people. It's starting to get popular. So yeah, I would like for that 17,000 to go up.
Because you don't have anything here you don't even have the police cookout that you had. You don't have that even listed on here.
Right, yeah. Well, the reason I haven't listed that because I usually do that in June at the end of the budget with whatever money we have left over. So that's how that works. So, but yeah, I like to go up on this.
You should budget for that if you want to have it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Can I say something to date?
One second. Can you just say a number, please?
Go ahead and make it 20,300. Just add 3,000 to it.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Yes,
What were you
because to date to May, they have spent $15,000 already. So they will be, you know.
Okay. Councilwoman Jones?
Yes, even with the going up on the amount for his events, I think also what the chief needs to also, or the department needs to also invest in also the advertisement that the council uses for to get to let citizens know that their events. So I think that advertisement money should also be included in his events because we used a large postcards. I'm not sure how much that service is for the council, but a lot more citizens get the are aware of the event when they receive those postcards that they've been receiving in for the last year. And I think that the police department will benefit from that to have more citizen participation if they accept they're only being notified on social media. I think that the mailing should go out for the police department events as well to get more citizen participation.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's something I haven't done because last year, Councilman Herring told he asked me about that, and then you asked me about it this year. So I think we probably need to add that. So, Dean, can we make that 22,300?
Well, I think honestly, I think Chief, you need to have a separate postage line. And if you're going to have 7 events, you should have at least $10,000. It's about $1,000 and something dollars a mail to do a mailing, a postcard mailing. So you may want to add a postage.
Oh, okay.
Throw 10K in there just as a starter to see. And
Yes.
actually, we can get a number. We can get a better number from Monet because she does the mailings.
Yeah.
Yes, but we'll include it in the whole special event. I wouldn't do a separate line. I'll just have it as a part of the special events cost.
I think I would rather, if I was you, I'd rather see a separate line so that you know exactly what you got to spend for your events and that your mailing is going to be separate from that. But however y'all want to do it.
Oh, the thing is, if I'm doing mailing by itself, then it's for other purposes apart from just special event. And I think it's only for special events.
But see, that's what I'm saying though, because if you put $10,000 in, and he may want to do a mailing. He may want to do the mailing for the fireworks. You know, he may want to do a mailing for, you know, something happened in the community. You want to reach out to the people and say, hey, this is going on. Make sure you beware, protect yourself. You may want to do a mailing for something else. I don't think it should be under special events because only then the mailing is going to be for special events. He should have a mailing line so he can get information out to the citizens if it's something other than a special event also. You know, a lot of stuff going on that he gets privy to information that's, you know, if there's something going on, carjackings or something, you may want to send out something, hey, carjackings are going on. Make sure you lock your cars up, anything. So that's why I was saying you need a postage line.
Chief?
I mean, whatever, yeah. Dean, if you can make that happen, that'd be great, because, yeah, it's some, that is a good point. I haven't been able to send out certain things, in reference, like for today, like with, I got a call about the fireworks, even though I got everybody working tomorrow and I got somebody working the station. I like to have another avenue to send stuff out because we passed our flyers last year and people like kind of like trashed them. I had to send officers out to go pick flyers up that night before the event started and the day before. So, if that's something we can do.
Yeah. This is what I'm looking at though.
Okay.
Are we going to still increase the special event and add another 10,000? So we're looking at 30,000 to add. Well, not 30, but an additional $12,000 to add to the expenditures.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Any other, I'm sorry, Vice President Ferguson?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I concur with Councilman Herring. I think they should have a separate line item for mailers. I've had several people call me today asking me what happened to the flyers like last year or whatever concerning the fireworks. So I am in agreement with the separate line item and then the additional funds for the events. Thank you, Council President.
All right.
Real quick, President.
Yes, sir.
Did we, for support, law enforcement supplies, did we make an adjustment on that? Because I'm very concerned about this. We had 75,000, then we got, it's 50 right here, so can we change that back to the 75?
Yeah, I thought we decided to change that to 75. My only question was, as relates to the vehicle fuel expense, I see that it was 137 and 22, 141, 42, and 23. So why are we only budgeting for 80,000 and 25? Is that accurate? I mean, I know we are at 39,000 right now in 24. So why is, I guess my question is, why is the large swing from one?
That has to go back up because to date we have spent $85,000 on fuel. So I think we need to go back up with that.
Okay. But then the question is 85 enough? Because
no, it's not.
Oh, okay, so what is the
no, give it no, but remember this budget was done some time ago. So what we're looking at is maybe 100,000, given what's going on, the price of fuel, and we have more officers on the road. That alone should bring us up to 100,000 just to be safe.
Okay, so why not 140,000 if we have proven that in 22 is 138,000 and 23 is 142,000? Why we stop at 100,000 if we have more police officers and more cars on the street?
That's a good point.
What I'm looking at to date, to May 2024, we're at $85,000.
Okay.
And I think the chief has been doing a good job of monitoring his guys. He and I have been working on looking at those numbers. So I think he's doing a good job of managing how fuel is being used with his units. So I think 100, but what you're saying, maybe 120, but I wouldn't go to 140 for this.
Okay, all I ask, because I don't expect you to have an answer now, is that you look into to see why there's if we're going to budget $100,000, what's the reason behind this swing from the $40,000 swing? If we could look into that so that we can be assured that, all right, the $100,000 is enough and that we won't have to then come back to try to appropriate another $40,000 for it. So just, if you could look into that and get back, that'd be great.
All right, I got two more things here, guys. For ammunition, I'm sorry.
1 second, let me hit Councilwoman Jones first, and then I'll come back to you. Councilwoman Jones?
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to make sure that since this is the mailing issue is going to be new to the department, that the chief make sure that somebody sits down with Ms. Ward and to get an idea of the time frame that they need to send the mailings, to make sure that they get to. I think the last mailing I received was concerning the educational thing. Well, I was out of town, but it still came in a timely manner. Whereas the person that picked up the mail for me said, that event is like a week away, and you've already received the mailing. So to make sure, that he gets with Ms. Ward to find out how that process works, and to make sure that he gets his mailings out in a timely manner so that citizens will be informed, because that's one of the things that they are questioning. You know, why are the events happening and we're not receiving notice of them? So I want to make sure that that is addressed.
I'll get with her on that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart?
Okay, so you were looking at the 39,000 that we had spent through to, I think this was through to February.
No, you said that right now we're at 85,000. Like, I understand
We are
that.
at 85,000 now.
Yeah, I understand that.
So I think 100 would be, or 120 would be reasonable for them.
Yeah, that's fine. But that's not what I asked to looking for. So what I asked to looking for is if 100 is where you want to settle, I understand that. My question is, what's the difference? What's the reason behind the swing, the $40,000 swing from 22 and 24 to what we're going to budget for 25? You could be very well be right. And I'm not contesting that you're right. I just want to understand what's the rationale behind the drop.
Okay, will do.
And it could be fuel costs. I mean, fuel costs has dropped a little bit, but not that much. All right, Chief, you're up.
Yes. If we can go back to membership and dues, I like that. It's at $13.90 right now. I've been including my lieutenant and captain in more training and conferences with me and stuff. So if I can get that up to 2,000, that'd be better than the $13.90. Because I'm trying to introduce them to in addition to IACP, I'm trying to introduce them to NOBLE, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement, membership for that.
So what's the number you said here?
It's at $13.90, 2,000 would be good. So that's actually what, $610.
And that's going to be enough for those memberships?
Yeah, that'll be enough.
Okay.
And then the last thing I have here is I got with the treasurer today and the city manager ammunition. I didn't give the treasurer. I've got to mention the part where we got rifles. We're going to buy 3 more rifles. And then with the new officers and stuff, we had dropped from 63 to 5,200. But actually, that's with the training for the rifles. Rifle ammunition costs more than regular ammunition, and we're getting 3 more. And then every time we get a new officer, we have to use 1,000 rounds. So I like to get that 52 up to 7,500. After counting my numbers I got left over today, I think 7,500 should sustain us for the next budget year.
What line was that?
That is 8520, the ammunition. If I can get that to 7,500.
Any other comments from council members? Oh, I'm sorry, Chief, were you finished?
Yes, sir. I'm finished. Thank you all very
Yes,
much.
Mr. President.
Councilmember Herring?
Okay, our officers still contributing to their fuel. The officers used to contribute to the vehicle fuel because they do take home cars. Are they still contributing, Mr. Treasurer?
No, they are not. We are planning to reinstitute that. We only need some criteria to follow in order to institute. Is it that all officers must pay that, or is it a few based on their usages?
No, it was the criteria that we set down and that we passed was all officers would pay towards to offset the amount of fuel that they're using because they don't take home cars. So that's additional gas being burned, take the cars home, as well as using it for part-time work. So I'll see if I can find a resolution that instituted that, but they all should, I don't know why it would have been stopped, but it should have been for all officers.
So just to interject here, I'm not contesting that there wasn't a resolution done in the past before we were even on the council. I think that's a bit harsh. The officers don't get paid much. And so for us to pay them very little and then tell them to give the money, the very little money that we pay them, to give it back to pay for gas, I can't get behind that. I could get behind a pay raise in police officer salaries if we're going to do that, but that I can't. That just doesn't make sense.
That was already in place, and if they took it out of place, it shouldn't have been, because again, the officers did use, and that was one of the reasons why they allowed them to take them home, because they were burning gas. I mean, it burns a lot of gas. Do we notice $114,000, $141,000 that we're using is being used in the city? Do you know that?
Well,
If it isn't, then
okay. Councilman Herring, can you hear me?
yeah,
So
yeah.
the treasurer and I met on that last year, and what we found out was we had some of the officers who've been in for a long period of time. Money was taken out, I think like 3 officers and nobody else. And we've discovered it was the officers that's been in for a long period of time, like Father Richardson, PFC Taylor, the guys who've been in like 15 years
Right,
plus.
the ones that have been in for a while, yeah, they've been in for a while. They had it instituted, and it should have been instituted for every officer that came on board. That's what
right.
it should have
So, and like the treasurer said, we was trying to find out what was going on with that, but it's like 3 officers, and we was like, okay, we need to find out, and we had it to discuss and stuff, and I think there was time when I was acting city manager and stuff, and I think it never came back up, but we were concerned about that. But we were also concerned about the fact that 3 officers were paying and everybody else wasn't paying, so it was all or none.
Right.
So yeah, so at the time when I was acting city manager, I told him, I said, we need to get together with the council and find out. But right now we didn't have any clear directions on it, but we just had 3 officers who've been on for a long period of time, money come out their paycheck for that. So
Right.
that's something we can revisit. But I mean, we'd be probably one of the only municipalities doing that. Other municipalities in the county, of course, don't do it. So
yeah, that's what I'm going to ask. Is it standard?
No.
Or
I'll look into that, because at the time it was standard.
Yeah, back then, it probably
it
was
was
back
standard.
then, but I doubt it is now. And I know for sure with some of the municipalities, with some of the chiefs from the chiefs conference in Ocean City, they brought up stuff about them buying new cars and electric vehicles and stuff, and that subject was brought up, and they did a show of hands, and nobody like raised their hand for paying for gas from the officers paying for gas and stuff.
I'll check
We
it
can
out.
Yeah, that's something we
But I
can.
know, I mean,
Alright.
again, like I said, we did it because, again, the officers do take the cars on. Officers do use them for part-time work. There is wear and tear on a car that we do not charge against the officer. We pay for all of that. So again, and gas was not high back then, but I'll look into it and see. All right, thanks.
All right. That's it for me.
all right.
Unless you want to go to page 16 and look at my salary. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate your time, guys. Appreciate it.
That's funny.
All right. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it.
All right.
Are there any other comments from council?
I'd like to, as we're going to close meeting to talk about salaries.
I'm sorry?
I said at some point I'd like to schedule a closed meeting at some point where we can talk about salaries across the board.
Okay.
All right.
I'll put that on there. Well, that closes out our budget discussion. I know there were 2 items that, I'm sorry, I lost my notes. There are 2 items that Councilwoman Jones wanted to put on there: decision on retirement and 8807 Glenarden Parkway. Mayor Carter, see your hand is up. Do you have a question?
Yes, I do. And for the executive part, I don't know what happened in the phone here, but the system killed out for me there for a minute. Did we go over the executive budget?
No.
We did not.
No? Okay. Do we want to go through that?
That's not on schedule. That's not on the agenda.
I thought we were going over the budget.
Ma'am, did you look at the agenda?
So that's the only one that's not being discussed tonight? Okay. Thank you.
No, that is a complete misrepresentation of what we're doing. We're breaking the budget conversation up. So if you have reviewed the agenda, we put the items which we're going to review tonight on the agenda. On the agenda, I can read it for you. On the agenda tonight, we have capital projects and ARPA funding, code enforcement, police department, finance, and cable. Those are the only departments we went over tonight. So the executive, the executive office is not the only department that we have not discussed. We will discuss that in a subsequent meeting. We had to break it up because having one very long meeting that will go to 1, 2 in the morning does not make sense. All right, with that being said, we'll move on to a decision on retirement. Councilwoman Jones, what decision do we need to make?
The plans, I think that the treasurer, Mr. Stewart, sent to us, we need to look at those plans and determine, send him a response back to let him know which one we favor, or like I said, if the council doesn't have anything to say concerning that, then maybe he and Ms. Schultz can make a decision as to what's best for the employees if we're not going to answer. I think he sent that out, what, a week ago or 2 weeks ago? Treasurer Stewart,
Yes, I'm here.
how long ago
So-
did you?
So I sent it out, I think, last week,
Okay.
2 weeks ago, which gives a breakdown as to the benefits and the constraints with regard to a 403B as opposed to the flap that we're using right now. So I would really like the council to go over it, see if they have any preferences. But not only that, remember, we have funds in the 2024 budget for bringing everybody up to that 7% that we had discussed last year. So as soon as we could get that settled, I will be able to pay up those amounts, especially for 2024. Thank you.
So I'm in agreement with, I think 2.5 is
Low.
embarrassing to be honest. As a city that we will pay our employees, I just don't think. I mean, to be honest, with us looking at the budget and doing some other things, I don't think we've had adequate amount of time to go through everything to make a decision. I will be comfortable with you guys looking at it and proposing something. I don't even mind going through the information myself, but I would like to see a proposal as opposed to, us going through all the information and trying to make a decision on our own. I think a proposal is the way to go with giving us all the information by which you came to the decision, so that if we saw something that was out of place, and we could say something on it. But Councilman Herring, I see you're unmuted.
Yes. I think we need to go through it. This is going to be a financial decision that's going to affect the city well down the road. And we got to decide financially if what they proposing is best for the city. I personally feel like a 403B would be the best thing. It's more flexible, and I think it'll give the employees a better retirement fund. But also, I think that we need to find out if we can roll everything that they have now into the 403B. But also, I just think it's just a lot to be looked into, and we really need to look into it really closely and see what is going to be best for the city. What's going to, and the money that they have set aside for that 7%, I really think we need to just let it roll over to the next year to see to decide what we're going to do. Because again, if we get a 403B, how much is the city going to match? You know, that money may need to go toward matching. You know, we're gonna match up to 5%. We match up to 7%, which I don't think we should, but you know, I think that we need to look at that before we dump money into another retirement fund before we find out where we're gonna move to. If we want to supplement the fund with the money we have set aside that's budgeted now, I think we should just move that over to 2025, and then when we decide what we're going to do, then we can decide how we're going to move with that money. But it's just to dump 7% in there now, and I don't think we should do that quickly, without knowing all the ins and outs and all the factors that come into doing that. All right, thank you.
I agree. And I understand Councilwoman Jones' a need to make a decision. I'm in agreement with that too. I just don't feel comfortable making the decision at this point. I haven't had an opportunity to really dig deep into it. And to make a decision for me would, you know, wouldn't be prudent on my part if I haven't really dug into it. Especially with us having a budget on our plate and us going through that. I just think that is to give council members more time to digest it and make a confident decision that we just need more time. Even the week before last, having that information, 2 weeks is not enough time to go through that. In my opinion.
Okay, that's understandable. I just want to make sure that we're having the conversation about it and it's not falling by the wayside.
Yeah, I think you know, council will eventually go on recess, and then once we come back from recess, would have given council members more than enough time to review it, look at it, and pick it up in discussion in the new session.
But I do agree with you as having the treasurer and maybe human resources give us a proposal as to what they also think would be the better for the city. So if they could present that by the work session or in September, October, that would be helpful also. Yes, sir.
Mr. Simpson, Mr. Stewart, Ms. Schultz not on here. But you guys can go through that. And then the council can decide to go with your proposal, or based on all the information that we've reviewed as well, decide on something else.
Will do.
All right. And the last item was, oh, here you go. 8807. Councilwoman Jones?
I thought we had to give that gentleman some type of decision, not that I'm for it or against it, but I just thought we had to give him some kind of decision as to the curb cut. Acting City Manager Simpson, can you give us some enlightenment on that?
Mr. Simpson?
Hi, good evening. I don't believe it's the curb cut, it's the utility connection that we need to get a decision from the council so that they can proceed with the connections, and then of course that home will be ready to be habitable. As it relates to the curb cut for the other property, we know that has to be brought to the council for a decision, and we'll make sure that doesn't take place until we get that request and bring that before you. We also did receive an email from Mr. Muhammad, I believe Day, asking the status of that particular decision.
And also, Council President, I wanted to bring to the attention of the acting city manager that even if the council decides on moving forward with the 8807, if that property is not owner occupied and someone else is occupying that property, they will have to get a renter's permit from the county. Because I think I read somewhere, Mr. Green could help us with this, that if you have a property and the owner doesn't live in the property, I mean, if you live in the property as the owner, you can bring anybody in you want. But if it's not owner occupied and somebody else is occupying it, that's considered renter property. So we can start, now, I mean, I don't know how many other renters we have, but this property, we can start with this property, letting them know that if it's not owner occupied and they got someone else living in the property, because we're not sure whether it's investment property or not, you know, whether it is one way or another, but we need to let Mr. Muhammad know that if he's the owner and he's not occupying the property, anybody else in the property would be a renter, and they would have to get a renter's permit from the county.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief, did you have something to say?
Yes,
in relation to that?
Yes, real quick, just like the wish Charles Simpson happy birthday today, coming in and working hard. Happy birthday,
Oh,
city manager.
Mr. Simpson, happy birthday, man. You weren't gonna say anything.
Appreciate that.
Oh, wow, that calls for a song. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Simpson. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, happy birthday.
And that guy, he doing an outstanding job as city manager, so I want to commend him on that, give him a shout out. Appreciate him.
Thank you.
All
Pleasure to
right.
serve.
All right, any more comments before we adjourn?
Yeah, Mr. President.
Councilman Harry?
Yeah, so Mr. Simpson, I just want to be clear. So this is 8807. This is the one that already had the curb cut, right? They had the pad, driveway pad.
Yes, sir. They already have the driveway pad, the curb cut for that. Yeah.
So technically, they really should have been able to hook up to the utilities automatically because the curb's already been open.
Yeah, and actually, I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Herring. The utility company is sort of holding off as a courtesy to us as a municipality, because you are correct. They technically can still proceed.
Right, but the other one, 8805, nothing's going to be done. I just want to make sure that we're not opening up that curb. That curb never opens up.
Correct.
What is council?
Correct. Before anything like that can even take place, it has to come before the council for approval.
Okay. So I think right now what we have to do as a council, I guess, is since this is a special regular meeting, is that we got to vote on whether we want to approve the permits for them to hook up. That's what he's waiting on, correct?
Correct.
Oh, we have to vote on that.
Yeah, you have to vote to approve the permits that to allow them to hook up.
And okay, so that's by consensus, correct?
No, it's by a vote.
That does not need a resolution, correct?
No, it doesn't need it just need a motion. So I move that we approve the permits for 8807 to allow them to hook up the utilities.
I second. Any discussion? Any opposition?
Mr. President, I call for a voice vote.
Okay, Councilwoman Jones,
Abstain.
Councilman Harry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume. Councilwoman Guillaume. Councilwoman Fareed,
Yeah.
who did I miss? Vice President Ferguson.
Yes, I'm sorry. I couldn't unmute.
Okay. Councilman Guillaume is a yes. Vice President Ferguson.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Simpson, you can move forward. Mr. Simpson and Mr. Green, sorry. You move forward with do whatever we need to do as a city to make sure that the utilities can be cut on.
Yes, sir.
All right. With that being said, all hearts and minds clear. Everyone have a great 4th of July. Stay safe. Get some good food. And we're back here on Monday, the 8th, to address the budget again. So with that being said, the time is 9:20 and this meeting is now adjourned. Have a good night.
Good
night.
Good night.